All right, the last time a Kennedy has served in a presidential cabinet was Robert F. Kennedy Sr. when he was the Attorney General for his brother, John F. Kennedy. Now, Robert F. Kennedy, his son, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., is going to be serving in a cabinet position, but for a Republican president, Donald Trump. The Trump campaign making it official that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will be his next Health and Human Services Secretary. Aisha Hasni has the latest right now from West Palm Beach, Florida. Aisha.
We said it might happen in your hour. We were waiting for it, and here it is. It's like they were watching us. So Dom Jr. actually tweeted it out first, and then shortly after, his father tweeted it as well. And the president-elect saying this about RFK Jr., that Americans have been crushed by the industrial food complex and drug companies who've engaged in deception, misinformation, and disinformation when it comes to public health. And he believes that Kennedy will be able to wrangle all of these different agencies and get them back to the gold standard. So here's another pick that isn't as surprising as some of the other ones. The name had been floated for a while, and we knew that on the campaign trail, the former president had talked about giving him a health-related role. So this was definitely something that was not a huge surprise. I will say I'm hearing from some Hill sources now, Neil, that are telling me that this is going to be another one that might have some problems with confirmation. But at this point, they actually think that the Matt Gaetz situation it is a little bit more troubling for some senators, and it doesn't even compare to RFK Jr. I will add that Trump may have done a favor to some of these Republican senators who might be iffy on RFK Jr. because they all just left for the weekend. So they don't have to face the camera right now and answer any questions about RFK Jr. But here we go. Another big name that just came out. Caroline Leavitt sort of previewed it, said that we might be seeing some more names this afternoon. And this is the big one of the day. Neil?
All right. Great reporting as always, Aisha. You timed it brilliantly. Aisha Hasni.
Here now, newly nominated Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. Well, first of all, congratulations, Tulsi. We're all very proud of you. Take us into the room or the airplane when this was offered to you. How did it go down?
We had a great conversation and talked a little bit about the work that needs to be done. And I was grateful and honored to accept President Trump's offer to serve our country and support his objective to defend the safety, security, and freedom of the American people as the Director of National Intelligence.
How do you think foreign capitals are taking your nomination and the nomination of other people in the national security apparatus?
It's a good question. I think President...
Do you expect resistance from the inside? Because there was a lot of resistance in the first term, and how would you deal with that?
The American people delivered quite an incredible mandate for change in this election, with the popular vote and the electoral vote overwhelmingly saying, hey, we want Donald Trump as president, and we've had enough of the Harris-Biden regime. Of course, there's going to be resistance to change from the swamp in Washington. I think that's kind of the point. The American people are saying, hey, stop looking at yourselves, stop focusing on your own power, your own position, your own bank accounts. How about we have leaders in Washington who are actually looking out for the American people? And on every issue across the board, that's really what it comes down to with what President Trump is trying to accomplish is we have to make sure that our government puts the interests of the American people first.
How did you think the Biden meeting went today?
It was interesting to see that Biden didn't seem to be able to stop smiling. for them to have sat there for what she said a couple hours and good. I'm glad that they sat there. They had a seemingly good conversation. President Trump, I'm sure, is eager to get to work and glad to be back there.
What do you think Kamala's thinking right now?
I can't even begin to venture how she's feeling right now. The amazing thing is what I hope the American people are feeling is a sense of hope. And frankly, Jesse, I've been heartened to see how engaged people continue to be, even though the election is over, that they're really looking forward to making sure that their voices are continued to be heard as we go through these next couple of months, as President Trump takes office, as he begins to lead this significant change in our government to me, this is what an active and thriving democratic republic looks like. It's not just centered around an election every 2 years or every 4 years. It's going to continue to require an active populace in this country in order to bring about this kind of change that makes sure we have truly a government of, by, and for the people.
And you're going to be very active working alongside this team. You got Waltz, you got Radcliffe, you got Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio. How excited are you, and what are the plans?
I think a lot of us, I think we're all eager to get to work. There is so much to be done. Meetings have already begun. President Trump is leading the charge in making sure that on day zero, once he takes that oath again on January 20th, that we're all chomping at the bit.
That's great. I mean, that's why people are so excited. You can feel it. You can smell it in the air almost. It's almost distracting because people can't wait to get started and see what you guys are going to be up to. How are your Democrat colleagues taking it, or former Democrat friends? You know, you left the Democratic Party, you became a Republican. Now you are in a Republican administration. What's been the reaction from those people?
You know, Jesse, I'm actually pretty heartened. I've heard from some of my former Democrat colleagues who are still serving in office today, as well as some who've left and are no longer serving in the House or the Senate, reaching out and in what I hope could be and should be an effort for us to work together and put the American people first, to uphold, support, and defend the Constitution, and again, ensure the safety, security, and freedom of the American people. This should be the objective of every single member of the House and the Senate, every single person who works in our government. And so I was glad to hear from some of my former colleagues who I haven't heard from in a little while.
That's really nice. I mean, you'd expect that in a republic. You know, everybody wants to be safe.
Yes.
Everybody wants to be secure. It should be bipartisan. Do you expect to get the support from leading Democrats when you push an America First agenda through?
I would hope that we have elected leaders who have heard the American people in this election, even if it didn't turn out the way that they wanted, and recognize that this is our opportunity to come together as a country and put the American people first and work together in order to be able to accomplish that.
Nothing controversial about putting the American people first. Tulsi Gabbard, I'm going to have to call you secretary now. I know you haven't been confirmed, but it's the polite thing to do. Director, excuse me. I can't even get it right. There's a lot of titles flying around. It's hard to keep track of. Thank you so much. Great to see you, and good luck.
Thanks, Jesse.
All right, President-elect Trump continues to make key appointments for his next administration. Now, yesterday he announced that Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk would lead the new Department of Government Efficiency. Earlier today, Vivek took to Twitter saying in part, quote, "If we're ever going to crush the bureaucracy, it's going to happen from the outside. Just the hard truth." And today, the department's X account was launched with a tweet saying, quote, "Working overtime to ensure that your tax dollars will be spent wisely." Vivek Ramaswamy joins us now. All right, so you're partnering with the smartest guy in the country. There's no doubt about it. And the richest guy. But you look at Elon Musk, and he's a genius. If you can figure out a way to go save those astronauts that are lost in space, God bless you. I could never figure that out in 500 lifetimes. So I admire that. He's talking about $2 billion in cuts by identifying waste, fraud, and abuse. Is that a realistic number? That's a big number.
Yeah, $2 billion isn't a big number, but $2 trillion is, Sean. And that's what we're looking at here. Look,
$2 trillion. I stand corrected.
No, I want to be very clear about the scale. I want to be very clear about the scale that we're thinking here. We're not thinking small. We're playing big here because we have a once-in-a-generation mandate right now. The American people have voted for drastic reform of the government, and our federal government is broken. It's no secret that it is a fourth branch of government, the administrative state that makes most of the rules, that creates a federal bureaucracy that's hampering our economy. So what do we want to do? We want to go in and slash and burn that bureaucracy to help Americans, stimulate the economy, and to restore self-governance again, Sean. The people we elect to run the government, they're not even the ones who run the government anymore. It's these unelected bureaucrats. Republican politicians have talked about fixing this for a long time, not with a lot of progress. So I do think it's going to take a couple of outsiders. Elon and I have built a great friendship over the last year. We're working together intensely, and we're not going to stop till we get the job done.
When Ronald Reagan became president, on the issue of defense, he called it a gap of vulnerability. China, Russia, they have hypersonic missile technology. We do not. We're going to have to spend a lot of money on defense to catch up and to surpass our enemies. Social Security, Medicare are headed towards insolvency. We'll have to spend money there. To me, that money is going to be made up through energy dominance. That's where I think our greatest opportunity is. Your thoughts?
Look, part of what's holding back energy dominance in this country is that administrative state. Look at the regulations coming out of the Department of Interior, the slow permitting requirements, how hard it is to open a new refinery. So I think that is the root cause of our failure as a country, is this unelected fourth branch of government. And I think they look at elected officials as these cute little puppets that come and go every little while. Not anymore. There's a new sheriff in town. Donald Trump's the president. He has mandated us for radical, drastic reform of this federal bureaucracy with the learnings of that first term. And you look, Elon's solving major problems of physics. I came from the world of biology. What we're solving here now is not a natural problem. This is a man-made problem. And when you have a man-made problem, you better darn well have a man-made solution. That's what we're bringing to the table. We're assembling the brightest minds in the country. This is the equivalent of a modern Manhattan Project to take on, I think, the major problem holding our country back. It's the federal bureaucracy. Target that cost, save the money, restore self-governance. And Sean, I think we did something pretty novel here, if I may say so. If I just want to say is this Department of Government Efficiency, it is built with an end date. We want to be done by July 4th, 2026. So for the first time in history, creating a department, creating a new government project that is designed to end when its work is complete. That's on the 250th anniversary of America's Declaration of Independence. And that's the gift we want to give this country on that birthday.
Well, I hope Congress adopts your recommendations. They did not do so in the Reagan years with the Grace Commission. What are the first things you're going to look at?
Look, we got a long list, and a lot of this is to stay tuned for what's coming on January 20th, because some of this we do want to come as in a big way swinging on day one. But I'll give you some examples, Sean. Most federal employees right now, most Americans don't recognize this. They don't even show up to work. So if you tell people you have to affirm that you want a job, that you have to show up to work 5 days a week, how many of those employees are going to quit right out the gate? That's a question we should ask. Those are the kinds of inefficiencies, low-hanging fruit, that Democrats and Republicans or black or white Americans alike can agree on. We should not be wasting that kind of money as a federal government. And so in that sense, tackling this kind of waste, fraud, abuse, bureaucratic bloat, we're going for the stuff that's basic common sense that most Americans actually agree on. And I hope we're going to actually be able to help unite the country by eliminating waste, which is something that all Americans, regardless of partisan affiliation, can get behind. And that's how Elon and I are thinking about it.
I have less than a minute, but I think part of it has to be baseline budgeting, eliminate the built-in increases every year that we have for every department. I think getting rid of the Department of Education, giving that money directly to states, or maybe adopting something like the penny plan. Maybe it's the nickel plan, where you cut, a nickel out of every dollar every year for 5 years. You balance the budget, which has not been done since Newt Gingrich was the Speaker of the House. You have about 30 seconds.
Well, funny enough, Sean, actually much of our spending is even for programs whose authorization has lapsed. So the authorization to spend the money, the appropriation has lapsed, and yet still the money still goes out the door. That's how broken the bureaucracy is. So I think it's going to take a couple of business guys to come in, do this from the outside. We're going to have fun while we're at it. It's going to be the most transparent effort. We're certainly aiming to make this a transparent process so the American people can see how their money's being wasted. So we're all in it on the same team to fix it. I can't wait for Donald Trump to get back in that White House on January 20th. He's given us a broad mandate with his full support to get this done. I'm grateful to him for that. And Elon and I are pretty excited to get started. So we'll see for what we have a few surprises in store for January.
You've talked a lot about this mass deportation and what it would look like, that it would start with criminals, that it would start with people who are in gangs. Some of the people who are in those gangs are from Venezuela. We've had an extraordinary number, 888,000 Venezuelan migrants have crossed the border. They say they will not take these people back. So can you give us a sense of how you're going to deal with Venezuelan migrants and also Chinese migrants, which we've seen thousands of? Both of those countries say they won't take them back. How will you deal with that, sir?
Well, look, we don't need a strong president like President Trump, right? Mexico didn't want to participate in the Remain in Mexico program. They didn't want to put military on the southern northern border. They didn't want to be part of third safe country agreements. Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador didn't want to sign the agreement either. But President Trump's a strong president, held them accountable. Look, Venezuela, they don't take them back. President Trump has a lot of power. He could cancel all the visas. He can take the government visa, all the government representatives here, cancel the visas, cancel all the tourist and visitor visas. So there's a lot of things that President Trump can do to hold him accountable. So and President Trump's strong enough to do that.
In terms of, we only have 45 seconds, I apologize, but in terms of what the message is right now and these caravans that are falling apart, what's changing already?
The criminal cartels in Mexico know that President Trump's going to pay a lot of attention to them. He's already said he's going to designate terrorist organizations. He's going to take them out. The aliens are making that trip. They know they're not under President Trump. There is no catch and release. There is no fraudulent asylum claims. You're either going to remain in Mexico or you're going to be in detention. You won't come across the border and be released, flown to the city of your choice by the NGOs at free taxpayer expense.
Also known as DOGE, this temporary agency will partner with the White House and Office of Management and Budget to drive structural government change from outside the government. Now, they put out their first messaging on X yesterday, writing this: working overtime to ensure your tax dollars will be spent wisely. So what have we been spending some of our federal funds on? Let's review. Almost $550,000 went to a Russian lab to run experiments on cats' brains. That was spent by the National Institutes of Health. $3.7 million of funding went to a study on monkeys and gambling, another NIH fascinating project. And the State Department awarding tens of thousands of dollars for drag shows in Ecuador. And that's just the tip of the wasteful spending iceberg. Here's Senator James Langford rattling off just a few government spending projects at a House hearing last year. Watch.
Last year, the State Department did a grant to Ecuador to host 12 drag shows in Ecuador with American tax dollars. Now, may have different opinions in this room on drag shows. I'm just asking the simple question: is the best use of American tax dollars to actually fund drag shows in Ecuador with U.S. tax dollars? National Science Foundation last year did a study of butterflies in Europe. So we funded with American taxpayer dollars. Last year, there was also a NEA grant that was done to set up a display in Brooklyn for the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, which, by the way, is not even an American band. We had an almost, $350,000 grant to study smart toilets. Was one of the grants that we actually paid for with our federal tax dollars last year. We also had a grant that was done studying colonial Mexican soundscapes. We, last year, did a study on helmets and seatbelts in Ghana to be able to study whether seatbelts and helmets were effective for saving lives in Ghana. Can I just go ahead and answer that question for free? Seatbelts and helmets are a good idea. They save lives. Free.
Haley, the American people had no idea about this, and how would they when the administration we are disentangling ourselves from is committed to an opacity, and at the same time, Americans can't afford grocery bills, but hey, let's spend millions on a bunch of ridiculous projects outside this country.
It is complete and total malpractice, and the biggest government positions to me that have been appointed are Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk in this new department. And it's not just the money. The money is a big part of it. It is gutting the career civil service from this administration. Let me give you an example. Trump becomes president in 2016. Trump goes in. Do you want to know what happens 1 month later? 1 month after he is president of the United States, commander-in-chief, a vote of the American people, details of his calls with the foreign leaders of Mexico and Australia were leaked. Mexico went to the Associated Press. Australia details went to the Washington Post. These were career civil servants leaking the details Trump was having with foreign leaders. They need to go. The American people spoke. He is president of the United States. Get rid of the bureaucracy. It's not about undermining Trump. That's undermining you, undermining your vote. Get rid of them on day one. Vivek, I know, is up to the task. I've had conversations with him about this. It's time to put these two in charge. Give them a ton of power. Get rid of career civil servants.
Yes, ma'am. I can't wait. And remember, I was a federal attorney. I was an acting director in a top 10 agency of an appellate office. And I really can't express adequately what it is like to push against the beast of spending. And among those spendings, I want to talk to you about something, Paul, which is the overpayments. This is where the waste comes into play. $3 trillion, Open the Books reported, since 2004. They define it as essentially wrong payments to the wrong person or for the wrong reason. Do you think Americans will give that back? Because I saw firsthand the billions of overpayments by the Social Security Administration where, oh, I'm sorry, guys, we just wasted $3 billion for no reason other than ineptitude, incompetence, or sheer laziness. And my point is that it is the structure that bakes it in. So Elon and Vivek are coming in and they're going to blow up that structure just like this. Well, we gave them money before, so we're going to do it again. No, we do not inherit the incompetence anymore.
I'll give you a good example, salient example. So apparently it's bouncing around online that when Pete Hegseth got SecDef, there was a quote from a government contract, military contractor, saying essentially, who the blank is Pete Hegseth? That is exactly the reaction you want, right? Mm-hmm. Because who's this outsider that's going to come in, that's going to kick this whole thing over, essentially, right? Mm-hmm. It's not somebody that he's taken to lunch. He's been whining and dining for the last 20 years, that he knows the contract's a done deal. That's exactly what you're talking about, Kaylee, and that is what you need. The other thing is, two things real quick. First of all, why are we funding all these bad ideas in other countries? We have enough bad ideas of our own, for the love of God. Why are we, helmets and God, come on. That's one thing. The other thing is this real quick. I know and I recognize, and this is the argument against it, that the real money we have to worry about is Medicare, Social Security. I get those are the big numbers. I understand that. But these wasteful products still take us into the billions, right? It still matters. Yep. What you do, and this is what I'd like to see, is as you cut these superfluous programs, put them into something that people visually see. Say, we cut $500 million from this nonsense. We built an old age home for veterans. Here it is, in Maryland, in Virginia, in wherever. And that money went here, something useful, something domestic.
Yeah. Well, let's do a little more examples of this squander of what your money, guys, the government's money, that is your money. So let's show you a few more things of outrageousness that our tax dollars are being spent on. $100,000 to see if A sunfish is more aggressive when given gin or tequila.
Oh my gosh.
$1 million to see if selfies make you happy. $1.5 million to study the mating calls of country frogs to see if they are different than city frogs. That, Cheryl, is what hardworking Americans' tax dollars are going to.
Oh, I have more. Why is the University of Mississippi spending $12 million for monkeys on meth? And why did the EPA spend $620 grand for armor and night vision equipment? Somebody explain that one to me. But I'll tell you what, the biggest one that killed me was the fact that the IRS between October of 21 and 23, they've got $50 million in unpaid taxes from their own employees.
Whoa.
IRS employees owe $50 million in back taxes. I want that. I want the IRS so gutted at this point. And Elon Musk, remember what he did with Twitter? He slashed out 70% of the employees at Twitter when he
I can't wait for that boulder to smash the glass house of the IRS.
But I have to tell you, the other thing, too, is why does Anthony Fauci and Rand Paul pointed this out? Why does he have a $15 million security detail?
We covered that here on this couch, Harris. And at the end of the day, the whole point is now President Trump is saying, not anymore, not on my watch. We are going to audit the government, and we are going to stop the spigot of hemorrhaging, and we are also going to do a better job auditing, because it's clear that Americans do a better job auditing their own finances than the government does.
So a lot of that, and then I'm looking at that federal spending and adding up what you just called out, Cheryl. And all of that ends up being relatively small money considering how much they want to cut. But here's the thing, the way that you change the structure and the texture of things is to make small cuts. You said it earlier, Emily. You're going to not do this with a shovel, you're going to do it with a scalpel. And that's how you change government from the inside out. Wait, who's Pete Hegseth? Well, we could go on about the double Bronze Star winner. We could go on about his military service. Let them find out what kind of strategist he is as a CIB, Combat Infantryman badge. Let them find out how great he was on the ground leading people. But my point with all of this is you have until July 4th, Independence Day in 2026, to get this done. That's what the president-elect has told Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. And the reason that is you will have changed so much government that the last 2 years of your presidency, with possibly a flip in one house or the other on Capitol Hill, will have a new texture of government behind it. You'll really start to feel the cuts and the things that they're doing. I love the deadline.
I'm proud to be partnering with my very good friend Lee Greenwood, who doesn't love his song, God Bless the USA, in connection with promoting the God Bless the USA Bible. This Bible is the King James Version and also includes our Founding Father documents, yes, the Constitution, which I'm fighting for every single day, very hard, to keep Americans protected. Also, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, and the Pledge of Allegiance are all part of this God Bless the USA Bible. And it's just very important and very important to me. I want to have a lot of people have it. You have to have it for your heart, for your soul. Many of you have never read them and don't know the liberties and rights you have as Americans and how you are being threatened to lose those rights. It's happening all the time. It's a very sad thing that's going on in our country, but we're going to get it turned around. Religion and Christianity are the biggest things missing from this country, and I truly believe that we need to bring them back, and we have to bring them back fast. I think it's one of the biggest problems we have. That's why our country is going haywire. We've lost religion in our country. All Americans need a Bible in their home, and I have many. It's my favorite book. It's a lot of people's favorite book. This Bible is a reminder that the biggest thing we have to bring back America and to make America great again is our religion. Religion is so important. It's so missing, but it's going to come back, and it's going to come back strong, just like our country is going to come back strong. In the end, we do not answer to bureaucrats in Washington. We answer to God in heaven. Christians are under siege. We must protect content that is pro-God. We love God, and we have to protect anything that is pro-God. We must defend God in the public square and not allow the media or the left-wing groups to silence, censor, or discriminate against us. We have to bring Christianity back into our lives and back into what will be again a great nation. Our founding fathers did a tremendous thing when they built America on Judeo-Christian values. Now that foundation is under attack, perhaps as never before. What can we do? Stand up, speak out, and pray that God will bless America again. I'm proud to endorse and encourage you to get this Bible. We must make America pray again. Pray, get educated, get motivated, and stand with me and the legions of Americans asking God to bless our great nation, to bring our great nation back, and to make America great again. I'm proud to partner with Lee in this offering. He's a very special man, both as a talent, but maybe even more so as a human being. He's very, very special. And I think you all should get a copy of God Bless the USA Bible now and help spread our Christian values with others. There you have it. Let's make America pray again. God bless you, and God bless the USA.
What will we do with this moment? How will we be remembered? Look at the opportunities before us.
This election really isn't about the left versus the right. It's about we, the people, choosing our government and the choice between freedom versus tyranny.
Nobody has a chronic disease burden like we have. Why are we allowing this to happen to our children? Ultimately, the only thing that will save our country is if we choose to love our kids more than we hate each other.
What is going on here is deeper than politics. It is deeply spiritual. We are being called to rise above the hatred and the fear and the evil.
We need to remember above and beyond that we must love our neighbors, that we must treat other people as we hope to be treated.
You want to be a rebel? You want to be a hippie? You want to stick it to the man? Show up on your college campus and try calling yourself a conservative.
America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing!
Don't you want healthy children? Don't you want a president that's going to make America healthy again?
I come to you today as a former Democrat. I will be a first-time Trump voter tonight.
The people dreamed this country, and it's the people who are making America great again.
Making black and blue.